Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2012 horror movie Chernobyl Diaries, a movie that I actually thought was a found footage film. And as you know, I'm on a bit of a kick at the minute trying to watch lots of found footage films. But in actual fact, when I started watching this film, I found it wasn't a found footage film. Strangely, because the guy wrote and produced this, what's he called? Oren Pelle. He's the guy that brought us Paranormal Activity, and he's done a couple of other things as well. He did Area 51 that I reviewed recently, so he has a history of found footage films. And I actually thought this was, but it isn't. And what this film focuses on is a group of American tourists who, while visiting his brother in Russia, his brother decides he's going to take him on an extreme tour of Chernobyl. And there's a guy called Ure, I think he's called Ure, ex-military guy who does like these extreme tours to Chernobyl because it's been completely abandoned 25 years so that people can see it. So they all agree to it. There's, I think it's 5 or 6 of them in total. They head off to Chernobyl. They are initially turned back by the checkpoint, but Yuri knows a different way in. There's always a different way in, and he takes them on a different route. They end up in Chernobyl, and as you can imagine, things do not go according to plan, to say the least. And they soon discover that they may well not be alone once they are there, because they get there, they have a good time, they have a look around, and the van they turn up in is vandalised, and they're stuck there, so they can't get out. Basically, they've got to try and figure out a way to get back, and it's something like 12 miles to walk back to the nearest checkpoint. So there you go, there's Chernobyl Diaries, guys. What did I think of Chernobyl Diaries? Well, I've got to be honest, guys, I wasn't overly impressed with this film. I really wasn't. This is a weird film in a sense of it's not found footage, but I think this film would have benefited from being a found footage film, and at times it's almost filmed in a found footage way. In a sense, it's quite guerrilla style in the way the cameraman's filming it. It feels like at times there's another person there filming them, who's part of the tour, part of the actors, and it's not. So it's filmed in a weird way. It feels found footage at times. It just felt a bit odd. I think when I'm watching a film, and I'm sure you're the same, all I found myself doing watching this film was finding faults with it. And that's not a good sign for a film. Sometimes I can find faults with a film, but I still really end up enjoying them because there's a lot still to enjoy. I just found this a bit drab and a bit predictable and a bit mundane. This film, it just didn't do it for me. It was full of characters that were barely fleshed out and particularly unlikable at times. You didn't really connect to any of the characters until really late on. There was a moment really late into the movie where you started to feel a bit of sympathy. It's crammed full of convenient plot devices. I mean, there's a couple of scenes. There's one scene in the film where one of the American tourists is an avid photographer. I should be taking pictures, as you can imagine. And while they're wondering what's going on, because they don't know what to do, it's like a moment of tension and pressure. And she's looking through a camera, and she just notices this figure in a window. Who would be looking through the camera at that moment? That would have been better written if they were having to flesh out their characters, if they had a good couple of minutes while they were talking to each other over, I don't know, in the van overnight, and she was just looking through the pictures she took and she'd have seen it. That would have worked. The way they included that, it wasn't reality. And there was another scene as well where they run back to the van and it's been completely destroyed. 2 of them are missing. But lo and behold, they find a phone that had been filming the whole thing. Who would do that? I know everybody's, obsessed with filming everything these days, but if you were in a van, there's 2 of them in a van, a man and a woman. If it were being attacked, you wouldn't be cracking your camera out and filming it. And they try and get around it because one of them's proposing to the other. But still, once the attack happened, your phone would be on the floor. I don't know. there was just too many convenient plot devices here for me, and some weird time shifts as well. You know, in the morning they go out looking for this Yuri, and it doesn't look like they're going on much of a hike. Like, you know, within a few minutes of walking, it seems they find what they're looking for, and then the next bit it cuts to him walking back to the van, and it's dark. It's like, well, where's that 12 hours just gone? So weird time shifts going on, and it was filmed in such a way that made it look really, really uninteresting. It had this weird filter on it. It just looked drab. There was no colour. Maybe you could be more forgiving if it was a found footage, because, you know, it's someone using their own personal cameras type of thing, but it wasn't filmed like that. It looked boring and terrible, and literally uninteresting. So there was a lot here that that really irked me about this movie. However, I thought the last 15-20 minutes were pretty good. There were some reasonable scares here and there, apart from the predictable jump scares. And after that, guys, I'm really struggling. I hated the ending. You know, I really hated the ending, and it didn't show anything. It didn't really give you any great reveals what these things were that were, you know, attacking them. You know, you can make your own guesswork as to what they were, but it doesn't reveal anything really. And you don't see anything. There's no gore to speak of either, really, in this film. It's pretty tame. So, guys, I wasn't in love with this movie. I've seen far worse, so that's why I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. But I was a bit disappointed. Well, I was more than a bit disappointed. I was disappointed with this film. I'd heard of it before. I'd not, because it's 2012, I've not seen an awful lot of reviews on it and stuff, and I didn't watch any reviews before watching it. Maybe I should have done. But yeah, guys, Chernobyl Diaries, I wasn't impressed. So let me know in the comments if you've seen this film, what are your thoughts on it. Thank you very much for watching.